You know, from the moment people found out that Everett Sanipass was probably one of the toughest players in New Brunswick history, it caused an international sensation where literally he took on pretty well the whole of the Russian junior team at the World Junior Hockey Championships in '87. And by my count, I wasn't directly covering the game, but I did something afterwards. I think he fought 8 players, even with the lights off. Now, did he start the brawl? No. The Russians already played it. But he is, in many minds, hockey fans, one of the most important Aboriginal skaters ever to make the NHL. Continues to be a role model, a very, very nice gentleman, and were it not for recurrent injuries or aches and pains from the game, he probably could have had a really long career. But sometimes players like him rise fast and burn out because of physical problems, or they don't match their junior totals in NHL. But still, coming from Elsipogtog First Nation in New Brunswick, to all the way for Team Canada, all the way to Quebec Northeast Chicago Blackhawks. Again, one of the most popular skaters ever in maritime history. Now, what's ironic, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but he was one of the first First Nation athletes to be inducted in the Brunswick Sports Hall of Fame, and I say that with some trepidation. There might be some mixed ancestry athletes before, because there wasn't records kept of all the people who got in the Sports Hall of Fame. But from first direct ancestry, the Brunswick Sports Hall of Fame claim he's the first, which is nothing wrong with that. Big guy, 6'2", 204. First came into heavy prominence with the Verdun Junior Canadians of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. His second season with Verdun was devastating in more ways than one. 94 points in 67 games. And he took care of a lot of things on the ice. 320 minutes in penalties, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this led him to be drafted 14 overall in the '86 draft. Now, take this in consideration, ladies and gentlemen. He was still with Verdun and played with Chicago that year with the Pierre Stanley incident. Now, as a young athlete, he played in numerous minor hockey games, but he was prohibited for many reasons, seen or unseen, from playing on off-reserve squads. Now, but his talent was such that, again, he was recruited by the Q League and eventually found his way to the most prestigious East Coast Junior League in Canada, because I think the Q was still better than the OHL, in my opinion. Now, Sanipass was the First Nation draft pick out of New Brunswick. Again, it depends on the ancestry, because in 2020 we know more about different ancestry. Now, was there any mixed race draft picks out of New Brunswick? It's hard to tell, because a good percentage of New Brunswick is Acadian Aboriginal ancestry. Now, the tally of 43 goals and 26 assists in only 37 games while playing in the New Brunswick Amateur Hockey Association drew considerable attention. Now, Sanipass played 2 seasons with Chicago and continued in the queue with Verdun and Grand Bay in '87, where he counted 34 goals, 48 assists for 82 points with 220 minutes in penalties. Now, in Chicago in '88-'89, as a full rookie, he had 20 goals, 20 points in 57 games in '88, '89, 15 points in 50 games. He was eventually traded from Chicago to the Quebec Nordiques. Now, in limited play with the Nordiques, he put up some okay numbers in 38 games in Quebec over 2 seasons. He had 8 goals and 8 assists for 16 points. But again, injuries really played his career. He did try and make a comeback with their affiliate in Halifax, the Citadels, but he was putting up some good numbers. But again, injuries were playing a factor. Now, on the international level in the '87 tournament, we're just going to talk a little bit about that because it could be a podcast by itself. He had 5 points in 6 games in the Pierre Stanley event. Now, the punch-up in Pierre Stanley, had a lot to do with Canada after having to score so many goals against the Russians to win the goal differential and the gold medal. Now, the Russians were causing all kind of interference, and in Piastani, the referees couldn't handle it. There was various incidents on the ice. The Russian team went on the ice, Team Canada followed, and he fought for maybe 20 minutes. Now, in an effort to sway the players from stopping fighting, the lights were shut off. Literally, the lights went out in Piastani. Now, the referees who couldn't stop the fighters left the ice surface for their own safety, not worrying about the safety of the players on the ice. Now, they thought by shutting off the lights that would worry the players enough would stop fighting, but he didn't stop fighting. Ultimately, what happened, both Russia and Canada were thrown out of the tournament for unsportsmanlike conduct, did not qualify for the medals, and they didn't know that this would allow Finland to win the gold medal. And there's a famous tape where the Finnish players are celebrating in the walking area towards the rink, while the two teams are, kind of in the dressing room. Now, we had problems with international play Canada for years. Let's just recap here as we talk. 72, we took it. 74, we took it. Canada Cup, not too bad. But the Russians were doing everything they could in international play. Esposito in the 77 Worlds. You look at 78, 79, the Eric Vale incident in 77. The Will Paymont incidents where he attacked players who were called all kind of goons. So this was the 15-year between 72 and 87 where the full Team Canada was in world play. But Everett Sanipass, being a great New Brunswick and a great Heartland guy, not Heartland, New Brunswick, but person of the Heartland. If you're wearing a Canadian jersey and Sanipass, the type of player he is, he's going to say we got to beat the Russians by any means necessary, and they were beating the Russians. But I watched that game. The Russians were trying to do everything he could to draw Canada into penalties or a lack of concentration, and Everett basically, as other players, I think Theo Fleury was in the mix too, he was just fed up. He said in published reports, he said it happened so quick that half the players on the ice didn't really know what was going on. And there's a very scene where the backup goalies for Canada and Russia are going at it. But if you have a chance, as an American, have never seen it, it's called a punch-up in Piastani. Go on YouTube and try to find it. And what's really weird, the nicest, quietest announcer in the history of Hockey Night in Canada, Don Whitman, is sort of like the Billy Graham of hockey coverage. And even Don Whitman was upset. But also the famous Don Cherry and Brian Williams were back in the studio talking about it in the famous 15-minute back and forth, how Brian Williams said, you got to watch yourself playing internationally. And Don Cherry said, the Russians jumped the bench, good NHL players. And I really think Sanipass would have made the NHL, but I think it became to another level. When you meet Sanipass for the first time, I've seen people have told me they met Everett Sanipass for the first time and said, thank you for beating up the Russians. That's a weird thing. Everybody remembers him. He's going to go to his dying day. His three things going to be happened. A great Mi'kmaq athlete, a great person, and a person that almost took on the Russians single-handedly. Because when the Russian jumped the bench, it was only Everett and four other players. I think Fleury was on the ice. Can you imagine if the other Team Canada wouldn't have jumped the bench? It could be Everett against 21 players. It looked like almost like a bad version of the movie Slapshot. You see, you got to understand, when you play in the queue, and the role he played as a goal scorer and as a rough player, he wasn't going to let any international game stop his game. So for me, Everett Sanipass, again, one of the most important NHL hockey players who ever come from New Brunswick. He paved the road for the Jake Allens and all of the other quality players. But my only regret, and I hope you take it the right way, if he wouldn't have been so chronically injured by hockey, I think he would have went a long way. But the body catches up to you. But see, the big problem, by 1984, he was only 26, and he was out of major hockey, and that's a shame, because I think he would have done a lot if he was physically capable of it. I would love to see him play in the Toronto Maple Leafs or Calgary Flames or Montreal Canadiens, scoring 20 goals, and a good rally guy, sort of like a combination of Lambert and Dougie Risebrough and like a Craig Ludwig. And it'd be interesting to see if he would have, like, he played mostly left wing, but if interesting to try him on defense, I think he would have been a good quarterback, like a defensive left winger. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Please give me a like, comment, or subscribe. And if you have a chance, Everett Sanipass is always around throughout Canada. He was involved in politics a few years ago. He was involved in Aboriginal sport. He gives a lot of back to his community. Don't be afraid to go up to him and talk hockey. He loves talking hockey. My friend Bo Sheaves said he had a lot of conversations with Everett over the years because he used to deliver mail to Everett in the Frankton region. And let me tell you, they had a lot of good conversations about hockey. And Everett is a very learned guy when it comes to Aboriginal sport. So we'll discuss, the importance of Aboriginal sport for First Nations across New Brunswick and Nova Scotia and throughout the Maritimes. Mi'kmaq, I'm half Mi'kmaq, and I think Jeff Barnaby said it best. Mi'kmaq, we like a good fight. And the punch up in Piestani was a good fight. No, nothing personal, you know what I mean? You can't hold spite. You take on a whole country. Hockey's like that. Thanks for listening. Bye.